Everyone, how's it going? This is Azrin here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's Gujarati lesson. So over the past two lessons, we have looked at the following. I'll share my screen. We've looked at the basic sentence structure in Gujarati. Very quickly, we looked at the main subject pronouns in Gujarati, and then we looked at how to use those subject pronouns to make very simple sentences. So we looked at હું, તું, તમે, તે, એ, અમે, આપણે, તેઓ, e loco, right? We looked at some differences between tu and tame. We looked at differences between te and e. We also talked about the word e as well. We looked at ame and apre and ame. We looked at teo, e loco, te loco, and we talked about how they all mean they. And we also talked about how loco might be replaced with another word. We looked at some simple sentences with I am, you are, he or she is, they are, and we are. And then practice. I mentioned last time that I have some worksheets. If you are interested in doing some practice exercises, you can contact me. If you would like to get those worksheets, you can contact me by going to, I'll put it on the screen for you. Azrin, thelanguagenerd.com/contact. If you go to the website there, you can email me or message me on social media, and I'm happy to get a worksheet to you that I've made. Okay, so today, let's keep going here. Today we're going to get an introduction to Gujarati verbs. Okay, we're going to learn 8 frequently used verbs in Gujarati, and we're going to look at how to form simple sentences with these verbs in the present tense. Okay, I don't think we'll get through everything today. We'll get through a portion of it, and we'll continue this second lesson next time. Okay. We already did a very fast review of lesson 1, so we'll skip this. Here are 8 verbs in Gujarati, 8 very common verbs. I'm going to say them. You can repeat them after me if you'd like. Bolvu, chalvu, dorvu, lakhvu, karvu, ungvu, sambharvu, shikvu. I'll point out a couple of fun facts. Number 1, you'll notice all verbs in Gujarati, they all end in vu. Right? Chalvu, bolvu, dorvu, lakhvu, karvu, ungvu, sambharvu, shikvu. Right? They all end in vu. When we actually use these verbs in sentences, more often than not, these vus are going to disappear. Okay, they're going to disappear, and they're going to be replaced by other sounds or other letters. We'll look at that momentarily. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, what I'll point out is shikvu has a sh sound in it. Frequently in Gujarati, people will replace sh with sa. So many people will actually say sikvu instead of shikvu. I'll give some more examples of words like this. The word for glasses is chashma, but many people say chasma. Or the word for a pillow is oshiku, but many people say osiku with a sa instead of a sh. A final example is the word shu. Shu means what, but many people don't say shu, they say su. That's what they say instead. Final thing I'll point out on this page here is this word here, ungvu. Some people will say suvu. It's another synonym for this verb. So these are 8 common verbs in Gujarati. A verb is an action word, something you do. So speaking, walking, running, writing, doing, sleeping, listening, learning, these are all things that we do. Those are what verbs are. Onward. Now, what we do here is if you want to use any of these verbs in the present tense means something that someone is doing now. For example, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm swimming, I'm this. Something you're doing in the present moment. There's a 3-step process. Okay? Actually, 2-step process, sorry. 2-step process. Step 1, we remove the vu off the verb. Remember how I said all these verbs end in vu? Well, we cross that out. We get rid of it. we're left with a stem. So this is the verb bolvu. When we remove vu from bolvu, we are left with bol. Okay, bol. Let's clear these marker lines. Once we're left with bol, we're going to add an u if it's hu, u and chu, so hu, bolu, chu if it's for I, tame, bolo, cho, right? So we're looking at these yellow. This yellow is what's going to stay constant, right? I'll circle the English lettering, right? Tu bole che, e or te bole che, teo bole che, અમે આપણે બોલીએ છીએ. So for example, if we had a different verb, let's say we took the verb lakvu, right? I'll just write the English letters for now. Lakvu. Lakvu means to write. So step one, we get rid of vu. We are left with lak. Now, if I want to say I'm writing, we're going to say hu. Instead of bol u chu, we're going to say hu lak u chu. Instead of tame bol lo cho, we're going to tame lak o cho. Bolo cho, lako cho. Instead of tu bole che, we're going to get lak e che. So the stem bol gets replaced by the stem lak. Let's look at another example. And also, one thing I want to talk about today, which we'll do in a moment, is just how to learn grammar in another language, which we'll get to in a moment. Because ironically, what we're doing now to learn this and actually internalize grammar rules, looking at the rules like this is only really one small step of internalizing grammar rules, but we'll get there in a moment. Here's another example with chalvu. Chalvu is to walk. So step one, get rid of vu. We're left with chal. Now, if it's hu, right, we're going to add, we're going to add this u, chu, chalu, chu. Tame, we add o and cho. Tu, we add e, che. Te, we add e, che again. If it's teo, we have teo, chal, e, che. Ame apne, chal, ye, che. So we're going to get these rhymes, right? So again, hun chalu chu, I'm walking. I'm talking, hun bolu chu, right? So we have this u and chu, it stays constant. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does. Lakfu, I already looked at lakfu. We have another example here. So we get rid of the vu. We're left with a stem, which is lak, right? And we then add u, chu, o, cho, e, che, lakeche, lakieche. One thing I'd recommend you do is actually pause this video and write these conjugations down so you have them, okay? So I'll actually go back, pause here for bolvu, pause here for chalvu, pause here for lakfu. So as a summary, what we're doing, if we're looking at this in a very technical sense, we have a subject pronoun, which is the person who's doing a verb, who's doing an action. We're going to take this out for a second, just for 1 second. Let's just cross this out. Ignore this noun for a moment. The most simple sentences in Gujarati have a subject and then some verb or verb phrase. Hun vanchu chu, I am reading. Hun lakhu chu, I am writing. Hun doru chu, I am running. Hun whatever it is. Cow chu, I'm eating. Whatever the sentence is. That is the most simple sentence that we can have in Gujarati. Okay. Now, let me actually go 1 or 2 pages ahead first. So let's do a practice. Let's do a little practice exercise just with that. I'm going to pick one of these verbs. I want you to, in fact, different exercise. I changed my mind. What I want you to do is for each of these verbs, I want you to write down how you would conjugate these verbs with hun, tu, tame, te, e, teo, ame, apne. So just like I did over here, bolvu, we did hun bolu chu, tame bolo cho, tu bole che, te bole che, teo bole che, ame apne bolie che. The same way I did this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different sentences. I want you to do that the same. I want you to do the same for each of these verbs. Hun bolu chu, tu bole che, tame bolo cho, so on and so forth, for each one of these verbs. If you want to actually do that on an actual worksheet, you can contact me by going to azrinthelanguagenerd.com/contact. You can go there and contact me. I have some worksheets, and you can also do this. I have a worksheet where you can do this. Yeah. Let's go back one page here. Now, the final thing I'll mention is sometimes you will do a verb to a noun. So sometimes, if we go to this verb list here, sometimes you don't just listen, you listen to music. You don't just write, you write an email. You don't just learn, you learn Gujarati, you learn math, you learn something, right? You don't just do, you do something, right? You do work, you do whatever you're doing. So if you're going to do something, that something goes in the middle. It'll be you, the person doing the verb, then the thing that's being done, and then a verb. So I'll give you a whole bunch of examples. So if I'm reading, just reading, I'm not specifying what I'm reading, then it's going to be hun van chu chu. Hun van chu chu. But if I'm reading a book, now we're going to say hun chopri van chu chu. Chopri means book. So if we translate this literally, it's I, book, read, am. So instead of I am reading a book, it's I, book, read, am, something like that. I'll give you another example. Let's say I was doing, let's clear this. Let's say instead of reading a book, right, let's change this. Let's say I was listening to music or listening to a song or something like that, right? Hun geet સાંભળું છું. Geet is a song. So હું ગીત સાંભળું છું. I song listening. Okay, let's look at another example. Another one here. Let's say instead of reading a book, let's say we were doing homework. Okay. There's two words for homework. They often say the English word homework. Homework. But if you really want to say a Gujarati word, you can say ghar kaam. હું ઘર કામ કરું છું. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Again, I do have a worksheet for this lesson as well. If you want that worksheet, go to azrinthelanguagenerd.com/contact, and you can just email me, and we can go from there. So I haven't actually had the time to upload these onto a website, the worksheets or anything onto a website. So you just have to email me for the time being. Okay. Now, last thing I'll say, and then we'll wrap this video up, is the following. So when it comes to learning grammar, I'll actually leave it like this is fine. When it comes to learning grammar in another language, learning the grammatical rules, like learning the rules like we're doing today, is only one piece of it. You also have to, it'll also help if you do a bunch of practice exercises. So for example, in a worksheet like I've made, that will be very helpful. It'll be helpful to see lots of example sentences. I unfortunately am not in a place right now where I can actually go and give you like 50 example sentences, but that is very helpful. That is very helpful. You could use ChatGPT to do that. You could ask ChatGPT, hey, give me 50 example sentences using the present tense in Gujarati, for example. That's one way to do it. I can maybe make a whole tutorial on how to do that and show you. If you're curious, just let me know. So example sentences will really help. Lots of practice with actual people who speak Gujarati. That'll be very helpful because you'll get lots of real life examples of people using the grammar points that you are learning right now, for example. Another thing that'll help is you actually trying to write or speak using the grammar points to actually practice them yourself. Getting feedback on those will also be very helpful. So if you say something wrong in writing and someone kind of helps you with it, that also might help to an extent. You don't want to be corrected every time because then it gets discouraging, but from time to time, some correction is not a bad thing. And doing that over time will help. Okay, will help. Let's wrap that video up there. Hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, again, you're welcome to contact me, azrinthelanguagenerd.com/contact. And yeah, have a great day. See you guys later. Bye-bye.